Welcome back to Green Bay Explorer. Today I'm going to show you how I take care of my rose bush. Not just this one, but my other one as well. This straggly looking thing is one of my rose bushes, and I made a mistake last year. I will not make the same mistake this year. It's early spring, and I want to show you, this is my other rose bush. I want to show you how I take care of them for the spring season. I made this huge mistake last year. I did not do it, and I wish I caught myself ahead of time, but maybe I was a little lazy or maybe I wasn't paying attention, but don't make this mistake. My garden doesn't just consist of roses. There's a lot more to my garden, and you're probably wondering, what is this big pile of leaves back here? That's a whole nother story, and it's actually working. If you haven't figured it out already, I love gardening. These are my sedums, my tall sedums. I leave these on all season long. That way, for one, I know where they are, because you can get lost in your garden pretty easily. But before I show you the roses, I'm just showing you around my garden and showing you what else I grow. Like my daylilies, 2 different varieties. I purposely placed them here for a reason. I can talk more on that, especially, further on in some of my other videos. My irises, these are called zebra irises, and obviously the regular irises. But I will take you tours of my garden. Throughout the season, I'll talk to you how I take care of everything. Those are my hostas. More hostas here. I even have over here a hosta farm. They're starting to come up. I am so excited. Don't look at these. These are all, I have a lot of maple trees around me. So these obviously are the seedlings from that. I had to pull all of this out. But this is also kind of my leafy compost area, so it should be pretty easy to clean up. Don't judge me too hard, but these are my Dusty Millers. They are annuals, but I've turned them into perennials. How do you turn a... I'm sorry, am I not playing with you? Here's some of my herbs. Golden oregano, hot and spicy oregano. Oh, and nice. That blew in from the windstorm that just came by. It's a nice rainy day. Actually, some of the best day to film, because you don't have to worry about the sun creating different glares and, offsetting everything in the garden. Oh, thanks, pup. You're so helpful. Time after time. This is my time. Some of the leaves have crushed it a little. I'm going to clean that up. I'll add some soil there to fill that in. That'll root and then produce more plant there. But every year this has doubled in size, and thyme is a fantastic ground cover, and it smells awesome. This dead stick thing right here, it's not dead. It's actually my butterfly bush. It is a miniature butterfly bush. It shouldn't get any bigger than about 3 to 4 feet, both tall and wide. And you can see down here, it is starting to come back to life. I'll see how far this goes. It's starting to come up here first. If I see any growth here, then I'll let it go. If not, by the end of May, I'm gonna say I will chop this all up until I see green. Let it focus on the green and get rid of the yuck and the dead branches. Well, this right here looks like a weed. It's not. And no, it's not an iris either. This right here is my toad lily. What's a toad lily? It'll shoot up really tall and produce these beautiful flowers that look like an orange spotted toad. I absolutely love this plant, and it's coming up a lot earlier than normal. And what I did do is I started throwing its seeds around, and now I have it everywhere. Oh, there's a baby one that I planted. That's the zebra that I showed you earlier. Here's some more babies everywhere. Here's one of the main plants, and then some of the babies just from seed. They're so easy. One of my favorites. One perennial, it's an annual. One annual you want to pop, or should I say snap, into your garden is a snapdragon. These are annuals. I turn them into perennials. How do I do that? How do you turn a snapdragon into a perennial? This is one of my lilacs that I started from root cuttings. Yep, little piece of a root, and I'm starting to get a lilac. This is my, I think this is my purple, yeah, purple lilac. Everyone loves coneflowers. This is a multicolored coneflower. Again, this ugly stick thing that is shooting out weeds, those are not weeds. That is my blue indigo, or Baptisia. This right here is my white lilac. And if you come a little further, Shasta daisies, more sedums. Sedums are so easy, best thing you can have in your garden. This, I can't remember. It's springtime. I'm waiting for it to get a little bit bigger. I cannot remember what I planted there. Some more daylilies. And this is my bloomerang. This is a bloomerang lilac. It's already producing flowers. I can't wait to smell. Lilacs smell amazing, but I can't wait for this to bloom. And once it's done blooming, it'll have a little bit of a rest period and then start blooming again. But there's a trick to getting that to work. I can talk about that as well. Okay, I may have gotten a little distracted in my garden, but what gardener or plant advocate doesn't get distracted by plants? Back to my rose bush. So I wanted to show you that you can see this one has gotten very tall and lanky. Most rose bushes actually are grafted, and this one actually has turned back into a wild rose bush. How did that happen? Well, down here you can see this kind of big bulb right here. Well, that's the original rose bush that actually started taking over again. If you look here, it's shooting out brand new stalks, and one of the main stalks that it was grafted from has died. But it doesn't mean the whole plant died, it just said it went back to original roots, which is fine. When this was planted before I got my home, but what it's doing now is it shoots off little flowers versus, I'm sure this was once supposed to be a scented one, which sell for a lot more. They're very pricey, the scented roses. But I kind of neglected it last year, did not take care of it, and I'm not going to do that again this year, because one thing I regret last year is I let this guy get super long and lanky. It got heavy, and every chance it got, it would whack me in the face, in the arm, in the leg, and hurt like crazy, because you know roses have ridiculously sharp thorns. But what I'm doing in the springtime now is, you already see that I did it. I've been chopping off anything that looks like dead growth or overgrown. Well, you said you didn't cut this one off. That's the one I wanted to show you, how I take care of this one. I've gotten a little behind. These ones I chopped a little bit earlier. You can see chopped right here. It was obviously out much further, but now that I've chopped it, it's doing a lot better, and it's shooting out more babies all over, which is starting to make it bush more and not just be a long stringy plant like we don't want. Same thing here. Long piece was sitting right there. I cut it. I let this one go because I'm like, I'll see what it does. But it's shooting out a bunch of the babies over here. All the nodes are taking advantage, even down here. So I'll let this one be long, and then maybe by the fall time I will cut it again, or early spring like I'm doing just now. But my goal is, as I keep cutting it down, it'll start to bush out more and be a little bit more controlled, a lot nicer. But let me show you how I go about chopping this. Back to my other rose bush, and yes, like I pointed out before, you're like, what is that big pile? What are you using it for? Is it compost? Yes, but not quite. So this rose is my knockout rose. What's a knockout rose? They are the ones that bloom all season long. They are absolutely my favorite. They have a tiny itty bitty scent to them that smells really good, but not enough to like bring in your house and enjoy. You know, you can definitely do cuttings, absolutely. They do great for cuttings as well. but you just don't get that strong scent like a typical rose does. That are, well, the specific ones that are, you know, obviously grown for that. But this one, just like I spoke about before, I went through and I started chopping everywhere. And you can see where I chopped, it's starting to produce a lot more bushiness. Before, I did the same thing. It was too long, lanky, so it shot out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main, 6 main, and they got super long and they weren't as enjoyable. But now that I've cut them shorter, they're gonna bush out a lot more, really fill itself in. And what's great about it filling in is it creates a little bit more shade on the bottom. The more shade you have on your ground, the less weeds you get, or the more shaded plants you can plant underneath. But my goal is just to create a beautiful, this one's pink, beautiful lush of pink around my rose bush. And you can see right here, this is some old blooms. I should have cut that back. Not there, not there, not there. There is one little bud there, there's one little bud, but it's really, really thin. I want to trim it back all the way to the back so this shoots out. Because I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 or 4 branches right there just by chopping one. Okay, so I got a little distracted again. These are my ground little sedums or succulents. I planted literally a fist size right here. Over winter, it expanded to this. How did I get it to do that? How did I get this to propagate so much? I covered it in dirt. That little piece and a few little pieces, covered it in dirt, let it focus on its roots. And over winter, it kept rooting, 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 and then produced all this. This actually shot up through the leaves and snow on its own. And then I just assisted a little bit. This was probably 1, 2, or 3 little, like literally the size of my finger that I planted right there. It's doubled, if not tripled in size. And look at this bad boy, just taking over. Absolutely love it. It's really easy to propagate once you get started, and if you do little cheat sheets along the way. Now it's time to chop the rose. You can look how much weight just came off that. Let's go here. Again, another. You're like, wait, how far are you gonna go? Well, let's see, where's a good spot? Down here? I could do that, but then I might not get as many blooms. Coming up a little further. Where would be a good spot to stop? And I'll show you the exact spot. Come this way. See if you can guess as I'm going down, there's a specific spot that would benefit me the most. Yep, you spotted it. It's actually right here. If you take a look right there, see how I have 2 branching out versus 1, 1, 1, 1. I'm going to chop at a nice strong base where the 2 nodes are shooting out versus the single ones up above. But let's have some fun. Chop. I wonder if I could bury these ones that I'm chopping in the ground. What would happen? And that's where I'm stopping. I cut down quite a bit, and you can see that reduced in size by a ton. It's about half the length it was. And I could do that in a few more spots. Let's see. Now that everything's starting to show a little bit more, I'm going to take more advantage of cutting anything that's kind of like one right there off this whole thing. Goodbye. This right here, it's partially dead already. Goodbye. Chopping all that. This is dead. Ooh, almost chopped the whole thing. This right here is dead. Let's see, any more spots? Well, let's cut. I'm gonna leave one here but cut off the one right there. And then just keep going. Any of the extra, you know, branches that aren't producing anything anymore, I don't want my rose to focus on trying to keep them alive versus producing nice flowers. Alright, now this whole thing is just like super sad. Do I chop it? You know what? I'm going to give it one more chance. If the rose starts to produce anywhere down here, then I will chop it. But for now, I'll let it have a little bit. So we'll see how this turns out. Oh, this is kind of yucky. No, actually no, there's more growth there. I'm going to take that back. I will keep it. Ah, look at this. It's only producing at the end. Not worth it. I'm going to come down to the first set of growth. There we go. All right, I think we did a good job. Let's go look at the knockout rose too. Back to my knockout rose. I've given it enough time to start showing where it's going to do the best time growing. And you can see right here, this branch versus all the other ones just isn't producing that much. So there's actually a section right there that it's producing a little. I'm going to chop it back to that. That way it's not splitting and working on both these spots, but just one. Same thing right here. Don't want it to reach all the way back. Let's start a little closer. Right here. Right here. Now this whole branch is dead. Might as well take that away. Ow! It came back and hit me in the face. Alright, that's not going to do anything. Down to the bottom. Let's see, anything else? I think we'll do a little bit shorter right there. Alright, I think we're pretty good. Lola, come! Come here, baby. The last thing I want to show you is right here. This will shoot out all over the place. You can see it's already developing. That's why I chopped it down to there. This little, almost looks like a bulb. It's round. I wonder if I could propagate that. Thank you for joining me in my garden. There is so much more I want to show you. It's springtime, everything's still coming up, but there's so much I can show you about and teach you about my garden as well, and how and what I've learned over time. The best part about gardening is what you learn as you go along, and the mistakes you make and what you learn from them. I definitely want to show you, and let's have fun in the garden. Did that sound weird?